Page 17, the song is Mary Ann, another old folk song. Now this time I'm going to give you something more to work on. Just like the last piece, we're going to have two patterns that alternate back and forth all the way through the song. But this time they're going to be brand new patterns you haven't seen before, so something more to work on. Let's first find all the chords of the song. Okay, the first chord that shows up is a B flat. Now I'm not going to do the tetrachord plus a whole step pattern. You've got that under your belt at this point. I'm just going to give you a reference so you can find all the chords if you need to. B flat, D and F for B flat major. E flat is E flat, G, and B flat. G minor is G, B flat, and D. Now if it was G major it would be here, but we lowered the third to make it G minor. Okay, C, that's really easy. C, E, G, and F. F, A, C. Now let's go to the patterns. Pattern number 1. Now the right hand's got it really easy on this one. The right hand just holds the root and the fifth for 4 beats, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple. Now the left hand, do you see how far apart those notes are spread out? Now since they spread out so far, let's start really low with a root down here, because we've got a big distance to travel over. Okay? So the pattern says for the first beat, you should play the root. So we'll play it with our pinky down there. The second beat has the fifth of B flat, which is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an F, right? So we've got F. Now the reason I'm playing it with my index finger is because I've got another note real high to get to. That's the third of B flat, which is a D. So it's clear up here. Wow. Now only Goliath himself could stretch out and make that in one easy movement. So I'm going to use the pedal to hold those lower notes while I go up and grab the third, like this. Do you hear how they're still ringing? Now that's quite a technique to get. If you need to do it without the pedal, you can have it choppy for a while. That's without the pedal, but here's the pedal again. See how those low tones kind of ring? I want to give you a rule of thumb. Really think about this one. The farther you go down on the keyboard, the farther apart you should spread the notes out, or they'll get muddy. For instance, I'm playing B flat, F, and D. Sounds very pretty, right? It's a nice voicing of the B flat major chord. What if I played the D down here, right? Hear how muddy that is? It's because it's so low. Now you could play the B flat in that grouping up here. It'd be very nice. The farther down you go on the keyboard, the more you have to spread the notes out. That's a great rule of thumb to really understand. Let's put the patterns together. Okay, the right hand with the left hand. That's pattern number 1 over B flat. Okay, the second chord of the song is E flat. Let's do the same pattern. Pattern number 1 over E flat. So the right hand's got it easy, the root and the fifth. The left hand's going to start real low, playing the root, the fifth, and a high G. That's the third, isn't it? Okay, the third chord is B flat. We did that already. Let's go to the fourth chord in the first line, which is G minor. This is going to be pretty. So we're still doing pattern number 1 at this point. The right hand's going to have the root and the fifth. The left hand's going to have the root, the fifth, and the third, which is B flat because it's G minor, right? See how pretty that is. Okay, the next chord that shows up in the song is in the second line. It's a C. Real pretty, right? And the last chord that shows up in this song is an F. Here's what that sounds like over pattern number 1. So it's a nice spread out pattern. You're going to have some movement in your left hand. Most people are challenged by the left hand. Get that left hand going. That'll really give some rhythm to your music. Now let's go on to pattern number 2. Pattern number 2 has got something brand new in it. Do you see that tiny little note with a line through it? That's called a grace note, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. That's a lot of fun. But let's ignore that for now and just look at the whole notes. Okay, the left hand's got it easy. It's got the root and the fifth. I'm going to play it over the first chord in the song, B flat. Okay, and they hold for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. The right hand has got the third of B flat. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to play with my thumb because I've got to play a root up higher. Another chord that's really spread out. So both hands are just simply going to hold for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4. Now let's talk about that grace note. To play a grace note, you simply touch it just for a split second and then move on to the next note. Okay, so that grace note has a 2 by it. The 2 in B flat is a C, isn't it? So we're going to play a C just for a second and then move on to the third, which is a whole note. So it'll sound like this. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so with your entire hand, it sounds like this. Isn't that pretty? Okay, you notice I had to move my thumb down to the grace note and let my index finger take the third of B flat. Okay, because my thumb could never make that smoothly. There you go. It kind of lends it a country flair. Let's find pattern number 2 over E flat. The left hand has got the root in the 5th. The right hand is here. Okay, the next chord that shows up is G minor. Now this grace note is really pretty over G minor. Okay, the next chord that shows up is a C. Let's play it lower, since the chord is spread out so nice. The last chord of the song that shows up is F. Here's pattern number 2 over F. Just play that grace note for a second. Okay, now we're going to play the first line of the song with pattern number 1 and pattern number 2 alternating back and forth. So we'll play B flat, pattern number 1, E flat, pattern number 2, B flat, pattern number 1, and G minor, pattern number 2. If you want to, take a pencil out. It's your book. Write on it. Right next to the B flat, pattern number 1, next to E flat, pattern number 2, and so forth, just so you don't get confused, okay? Let's go through it. B flat, pattern number 1, E flat, pattern number 2. Played that nice and high with my right hand just because I wanted to. You can experiment. Okay, B flat, pattern number 1, G minor, pattern number 2. It's pretty. Okay, B flat, second line, pattern number 1. Now B flat again, but pattern number 2. C, pattern number 1, and F, pattern number 2. Play real high. Third line for the ship is awaiting. Get to the ship. Okay, B flat, pattern number 1. B flat, pattern number 2. E flat, pattern number 1. G minor, pattern number 2. Nice and high. Fourth line, B flat, pattern number 1. E flat, pattern number 2. Now G minor, pattern number 1. I'm going to play it nice and high. It's a new one, huh? G minor, pattern number 1. Okay, going on. C, pattern number 2. Last line, B flat, pattern number 1. F, pattern number 2. B flat, pattern number 1. And B flat, pattern number 2. Now you know what we're going to do next. We're going to sing the melody all the way through, starting on D. That's where it starts. Oh, fare thee well, my own true love.
Oh, fare thee well, my own true love. Oh, fare thee well, my dear. For the ship is awaiting, the wind blows high, and I am bound far away for the sea, and I am bound for the sea. Pour me